Hey, how y'all doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild Wild West. Well, today's just an update on my original goat aluminum kits that I've done. And as y'all know, this is the newest one. This is the newest one right over here. Absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. The MSI. This is the MM2 pattern. Absolutely loving it. Highly recommend it. Knife even feels more solid with this kit. That's that one. That's the newest one, people. Oh, then we got to talk about the Engage. This is another one of my smoothest kits I've made. It's one of my favorite kits from the original goat. The Engage kit. And I totally polished this one out too. I wish they'd make a backspacer for the Engage though. It needs matching aluminum backspacer, and they also have titanium kits too, so they should make a titanium backspacer also. This is an awesome knife. 3.5-inch gauge when you put the original goat kit with it. This one right here is an 8020S, a Demco 8020S with the shark's foot blade. This is one of the original models with the D2 blade. This is a knife that I bought used on eBay a long time ago. Got a real good price for it. And modified it with the original goat stuff way back in the day. This is one of the original goat kits for the 8020S. With the jump back spacer and the shark's tooth. I believe that's shark's tooth. Is that shark's tooth? And it might be OG1 pattern. OG1 pattern. OG1 pattern, people. This pattern right here, this is OG1 also. OG1. OG1 is pretty much my favorite pattern. So I have OG1 on a lot of the knives. Next up, 8015. 8015. See if I get it going here, right? It's been a while since I've used this one. 8015. This has got skip bearings in it. All these got skip bearings in them except for this one. They're all skip bearing kits. Really makes this a nice knife. And this knife was made just for like about 100, with including the cost of the knife and the kit, it was around $100 to $120 to make this knife. That's including shipping, everything. This is the light, cold steel light version of the 8015 with the Japanese AUS 10A steel. And now it has skip bearings and liners. Original goat. This one is the shark's tooth pattern. Shark's tooth pattern scales. Without the lanyard hole. As you all know, I often don't like the lanyard hole. So if I can, I always try to get the lanyard hole delete. Last but not least is my 8010 Tonto. And this is a light model also, and it was done for about the same price as the 8015 for right in between $110 and $120. And they're all aluminum. All these are aluminum kits from original goat. And this one I didn't polish because I purposely wanted to let people see what they look like when they're not polished. When you get the raw aluminum, unpolished aluminum. This is what it looks like. This is nice too. But this is the new one, people. And I'm totally digging it. Totally digging it. I must admit, though, I think these bottom three are my favorite kits. The one for the 8020S model, the one for the original Engage, and the one for the MSI. I really like this one too, though. Actually, they're all really great, people. They're all really great. But this one makes a big improvement over the original 8015 also. So I highly recommend this one too. If you guys want to do this kit, you've been thinking about doing this kit. If you're 8015 person, and you like the Demco 8015, I would highly recommend this kit because this really transforms the 8015. It makes it a lot more easier to use and smoother functioning. It just, it really improves it. And the balance is still good. The balance is still 50-50 on it. Absolutely love it, people. This is a cool 8015 kit. This kit is really nice too. But to be honest, I sort of like the my S35 one with the aluminum scales, and with the aluminum liners and the G10 scales. I like that one already as it is. So this is not, to me, like a big improvement. It's just different. It's just going, instead of having the stock scales or whatever, where you're not given a lot of choices about how you want your handles to be, to going to a set of scales where a company where it's giving you more choices for your 8010s. That doesn't really improve it. It just makes it different. That's the way I would look at this one, people. This one improves it. This one improves the knife. Improves the 8015. This one is just like this one, where it doesn't really improve it unless you're getting skip bearings in it. Skip bearings are improvement over the stock bearings that came with the original D2 models. I don't know what kind of bearings they have in them now, but the original bearings were like steel bearings in a stamped steel cage. And those bearings used to gum up and get kind of funky and stuck all the time. And so you really wanted to get skips with these old ones. But other than that, whether you got the G10 or the Grivery, it's all about the performance is all about the same. The only thing that really changes the performance in this one is when you get skip bearings. So getting this, don't get it because you think it's going to improve the performance. Get it because you like it. Get it because you want some aluminum scales. Get it because you're attracted to having something different. You want something that's a little bit more custom looking than just the stock 8010, 8020S model or 8020. These scales will work on either the 8020 or the 8020S models. The back spacers are proprietary. The back spacers, because of the thickness of the blade, you can't interchange those with the 8020 or whatever. You have to get the ones that are made for the knife that you have. But the scales are all interchangeable. In this one, this is a major improvement. To me, this is a major improvement over the stock one. Not only makes it lighter, it makes it, it just feels stronger and it feels like a better performer. I absolutely love this Engage with the aluminum handles. The titanium one's nice too, but my biggest preference would be the aluminum, people. I know titanium is just more premium, but to be honest, the ones I like to carry are the aluminum ones because they're lighter. Aluminum's just a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier than G10, but it's a lot stiffer. It's, not flammable. Absolutely love the aluminum. And this one, I know a lot of people got, issues with the, because there's been a lot of videos where, people have been having lock failures with these and stuff like that. But I haven't had any lock failures. But then again, I don't go around, batoning with these knives or whatever. I wouldn't baton with this one. But these three and this one, I wouldn't baton with. I wouldn't baton with this. Even though this is probably the next one I would consider batoning with over these other ones, because you can actually hold the lock in place. But I wouldn't baton with this one. This one's not this. This is a triad lock, people. Triad locks are different from other locks. Triad locks are just stronger. I'm gonna just be blunt and to the point. A triad lock is way stronger than any of these other locks. Why? Because number one, it has less moving parts, so you have less things that can get damaged. And the triad lock by Andrew Demko is made to self-adjust, so as it does get damaged, it self-adjusts. And so in other words, it never really gets damaged, it just self-adjusts. The only thing you could do to this knife is break it. You would have to literally break this knife to make it fail, which is extremely hard to do, as we all know. But, knives like the Atlas lock, this has a very strong, lock that can handle a lot of weight hang and stuff like that. But, as we saw with on Gideon's Tactical, when he started using it for batoning, it deformed something and he got a lot of up and down blade play. So that's the way these kind of locks are to me. They're very strong. But, when you start batoning and doing things like that, when you put a lot of, additional kind of weird kind of stress on it that's not supposed to be having, that's when you create damage or failure. And that's the reason why I wouldn't baton with a shark lock. I wouldn't baton with the Atlas lock. I wouldn't baton with the Scorpion lock, and I wouldn't baton with the RAM-LOK. They're not made for that, people. These are made to be easy to use pocket knife locks. That's the purpose of them. If you want a super strong, heavy duty, combat ready lock, get a Triad. Get one of these. Sure, you can't open and close it as fast, but you can still open and close it with one hand. But you can't do it as fast. But that's what you pay. That's what you have to do if you want a strong lock. A liner lock is not a strong lock. A frame lock is not a strong lock. It's not stronger than any of these other locks. But this is a strong lock. A deadbolt lock is a strong lock. The only thing bad about deadbolt lock, it doesn't self-adjust. And so you will develop blade play over time. This self-adjusts. It won't develop blade play. This is what you use if you want to use a folding knife like a fixed blade. I keep seeing people using these kind of knives they're supposed to be as strong as this. They're not supposed to be as strong as this, people. This is an Andrew Demko Triad lock. This was built to be a tank of a lock. It's built to be stronger than any other lock on the planet. Ounce for ounce. That's what the purpose of this lock was, and that's what it is. These locks aren't as strong as this one. Even if one could do a real good weight hang, it's not going to handle batoning. It's a different kind of stress. These can handle a lot of weight too, as long as they don't get shocked to the spine. That's what I've always seen in the videos with these, is that they can handle a lot of pressure like this, constant pressure. So these will probably do a very good weight hang too, just like this one. But when you smack it and you make the light and you put a lot of instant shock on it, and the lock can bounce a little bit, and it bounces back further than it's holding the lock, then it folds. The same thing goes for an Axis lock. An Axis lock, when you pound on it by the hand, the palm, the lock bounces down and it folds. The same thing can happen to this lock. This lock can bounce down. Whereas Andrew Demko with the Shark lock, he made it so the lock had to be lifted up and goes back. So you can't bounce this one back like you can an Axis lock. So this lock is, to me, a better lock than an Atlas lock or an Axis lock. And probably out of all the fidgeting locks, the Shark lock to me is probably the best. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because people always ask me, why I promote, I don't really promote things. I just tell you what I like. But the reason why I like these so much, and it's not because I'm using this knife as a knife that I need for self-defense or in any kind of stressful situation. This is a work knife. It's a knife I take to work. It's a knife that I use for food prep, for opening up packages and boxes and things at work and stuff like that. It's like an everyday carry utility knife to me. And as an everyday carry utility knife, I used to think this one was the best. But I think this one's the best now. Just the blade shape itself is an awesome knife for utility purposes. And it's fun to use. This is a fun knife to use. All three of these are fun knives to use. These are my top three for knives I like to carry back and forth to work, people. These three right here. The 8020S model, the 3.5 inch blade engage, and the 3.88 inch RAM-LOK MSI. These are my top three. And if something else comes along that I like better, I'll let you all know. But so far, these are my top three, people. And I like these kind of knives when I want a stronger knife. This is a stronger knife than these because of the way that the lock's made. I would believe that this would be stronger than these in a lot of situations. Maybe not in a self-contained weight hang because this can probably, come up or come loose. But I think as long as you're holding on to it with the grip, I think 8015 is probably, with the Scorpion lock, I think that's a really good lock. This one's a really good lock too. As far as like the fidgeting locks, I would say this is probably the second strongest lock out of all of them. And when I'm talking about all of them, I'm talking about Spyderco's, any other brand that's out there right now. I think this is probably the second strongest fidgeting lock. And what I call fidgeting lock is a lock that works with a knife blade that I can open and close without putting my fingers in the path of the blade. That's what I call fidgeting lock. A liner lock or a triad lock is not a fidgeting lock to me. A frame lock's not a fidgeting lock. Shark lock's a fidgeting lock. Axis lock's a fidgeting lock. XR lock's a fidgeting lock. RAM lock's a fidgeting lock. The new Snex Super lock's a fidgeting lock. That's why I call fidgeting locks, people. And I think these two are probably the strongest out of all the fidgeting locks. I think I'd put this one number 2, and I'd put this one number 1, just because the reason why I'm putting this one number 1 is because of the way it functions. You can't bounce this one back from hitting it on the pommel, whereas you can do it on this one. That's the only weakness this lock has to me, is like when you bounce it back. None of these locks I would use for patani. I wouldn't even consider that a part of my strength test for these kind of knives. Because all you're going to end up doing is damaging your knife and making it not not function properly after that. Because after that, it will probably, fail super easily once you damage it, because you probably deformed the lock. So I don't recommend people doing that with their locks. Now, you don't buy a knife like this to see if you can damage it. I don't. I'll try out a lock with the same kind of lock if it's really inexpensive, and see if I can damage it, because then it's not a big deal to replace. But I'm not gonna do that with this lock. I'll do something light, but I'm not, if it can survive that, that's good enough for me anyway. And besides, this knife, if it does fold, if the lock does give out and it folds, you're still safe. It won't cut up your fingers. You're holding it in a proper grip, it won't cut up your fingers, people. That's because of the way that they designed this. It's a good design. And that's one thing I always consider in all of my knives. Because I've been cut up. I know what it's like to get cut up. From a knife, getting hit on the spine, the blade folding in on you. And so I basically don't trust any knife when it comes to that. All my knives, if I'm going to carry them, they have to pass this test, because I don't want to get cut up again. So I would consider all these knives safe. I consider all these knives safe. And it's also my understanding that they got a new one, a new edition out of these now. I guess it's going to be the 3rd edition, but they changed the stop pin in them, and they changed the blade tank, the back of the blade tank a little bit. That's the differences I see. I haven't got one of those models yet, and that'll probably be the 4th one I get. Will be one of those, because I want to see what the differences are. So that'll be the one that I use for the titanium model. That I just noticed that, and I watched a video from Cutting Board. I think it was Cutting Board, where he's the one that I first saw where he made the block fill on these, and then he also had a way to fix it. But I sort of noticed that the way that this lock is designed, it looks like it's designed to self-adjust and wear. And so maybe when they're brand new, there wasn't enough wear in the lock yet. I noticed mine. I noticed that they're wearing, and they're wearing into the thing, and you could watch it wear, because after you open and close it so many times, and the knife never gets loose. You never get up and down blade play. And the only time I did have up and down blade play on one of these was on my carbon fiber one, and that was after I had opened and closed it probably 1 billion times. It started getting a little tiny up and down blade play, and I noticed that if I push forward on the lock bar, the blade play would disappear. I had the same issue with these two too, also. And I think it's just one of the things that comes along with this kind of lock type, where you got the spring in the back, where you got a coil spring, because after a while the coil spring probably wears down a little bit. And so sometimes it'll lock up super tight, and other times you have a tiny little bit. It's because the lock bar didn't gauge all the way, because the spring didn't kick it out all the way. But it's not like it's like so much that's dangerous. It's just like a little tiny tick that you may not even notice. I notice things. And I've done that before with this one, not this one in particular, but my 80 20.5s, because when I first started carrying those, I wore those things out, and I replaced springs in them and made them brand new again. So that's just one thing that you could do. And Demco Knives sells the springs for the Demco knives. I don't know if you can use them in either one of these. I don't know what the size difference is, but it's the same type of spring. They're all coil springs. Sort of like the kind of spring that you would get in a push button pin. But anyway, people, absolutely love all these. And for everybody who's not on the fence about these, I say get this kit and try it out yourself and see what you think. I say get this kit and try it out. Don't be scared because of what you saw in the video. Try it out. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. We're all soldiers. We're supposed to be standing tall and looking good, just like a soldier should. Right on. Peace. Stiletto. Have a great day, people.